7:02. Okay, we're good. Okay, welcome everybody to the Orangetown Town Board meeting of September 24th, 2024.
Councilman Paul Valentine.
Here.
Councilman Jerry Batari. Councilman Brian Donahue.
Here.
Councilman Dan Sullivan.
Here.
Supervisor Teresa Kenny.
Here, and we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, couple of quick announcements. We have the Orangetown Hungers 5K Heroes Walk Run on Saturday, October 5th. This is down at Depot Square in Spark Hill. It is all proceeds will be donated to local food pantries in the Orangetown area. Currently the town is redoing their website, which if anyone who's been on a website knows it's long overdue. But so anyway, we have put out, we're having, if anyone has photos of the town that they think kind of captures the essence of the town, we're looking for people to donate them. We're not paying anybody any photographs. So you have until November 1 to submit it. So I think Allison is on the page. If they go in, they know where to contact. Okay. And just because there was something on today, I just want to remind everybody about our Do Not Knock registry. If you live in Orangetown and you don't want to be solicited by people selling you solar panels or real estate agents or anybody, you can sign up for a Do Not Knock registry. You get put on at the town clerk's office. You get put on the list, and you can get a little sticker that says Do Not Knock, and that will prevent people from soliciting. With that said, people for coming around for politics and stuff, as long as they're not selling or trying to buy something or do business, they can come. But anyway, it's just a reminder because there was a real estate person going around town. Some people were upset they didn't know about the Do Not Knock, so I thought it was a good time to remind everybody. Okay, so we have two presentations to start. First, do we have Bill McDowell here?
Yes, indeed. It's a pleasure. Good evening, and thank you for letting me present. I know the preliminary budgets have already been done. Nyack Ambulance's 2025 request from the town of Orangetown is $574,211, of which Nyack Ambulance is $296,324, with the remaining balance of $277,887 going to Rockland Paramedics. Our current capital funding is at $591,582. If we're fully funded in 25, that'll be reduced to $380,000 by this time next year, as our newest ambulance has been ordered and will be purchased. We have a 12-year cycle. It'll be 13 years that ambulance has been in service. Another point of interest, I think, is that this past year, 58.4% of our calls have actually been in the town of Orangetown, yet Orangetown is only paying 50% of our budget. So really, Clarkstown is getting shorted by about $30,000 because they're paying for...
Wow,
Okay,
Facebook.
I just thought I'd share that amongst friends. So with that, I'm happy to answer. We did 1,856 calls last year, and of those, 1,084 were in the town of Orangetown. So that's 58.4%. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Anybody? Okay, as you know, my tentative budget's going in, so it will be considered, I guess, when the town board does their review of the budget.
Okay, appreciate
Okay.
that. All right.
Okay, and on that note,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jeff, would you like to step up and do the pleasure? You got this? I can't get any done with
Okay, if you look before you, you have two packets. This large packet has every single line item in the budget, so that's more for you to take home and review at your leisure. Second, the small packet here, you'll see the front page has a tax cap calculation for the town of Orangetown And where we are, where I've highlighted in yellow, you can see that we're $142,000 under the tax cap. Below that, you'll see the $62,000 under the tax cap. And why that is also highlighted is on the second to last line on the tax cap calculation, the PFRS, that's the Police and Fire Retirement System exclusion, that's $80,000 that the state is allowing us to use this year. They don't allow you to use it every year. Last year, we had an exclusion for both the ERS and the PFRS, but they don't allow you to carry that over to the next year. So even though last year we were $383,000 under the tax cap, they took away about $200,000 for these exclusions. So we were only, $140,000 or so under the tax cap that we were allowed to carry forward. So it's important the way I would look at it is we're really only $62,000 under the tax cap because that's what we get to carry forward. Okay? If you turn to the next page, you'll see the macro trends that are affecting our budget. So these are all put in the percentage increases. They obviously go through multiple line items, but those are the assumptions. I had to increase the workers' comp and the risk insurance because we were getting close to not having enough money in those at the end of last year. So I needed to have a little bigger increases in there to make sure that we're not having to borrow from the general fund to pay that back. The other main thing that is impacting us about 2/3 of the way down is the H&A settlement. That is a $650,000 hit. And that's going to happen next year. So we have budgeted for it, but obviously that made it more challenging to stay under the cap this year. The rest of those, you can see what assumptions I put in there, and if you have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer them. If you turn to the next page, you'll see that we are using $3.95 million in fund balance to offset taxes to remain under the tax cap. That was more than the $3.5 million we used last year. But again, we got a $650,000 hit just from H&A. So excluding that one-time hit, then we're actually using less fund balance than we would have last year. If you turn to the next page, this is a line item details of all the changes that were made from the request stage to the supervisor stage. So I'll just give you a second to look through that, and if you have any questions. Okay, and then finally, or not finally, but the next page is the special districts page, what their request was, and what the supervisor modified those requests to. So you can see there are several cuts in there. You heard Nyack Ambulance ask today for a 13.8% increase. The supervisor and I have cut that to 5%. But the town board, throughout the rest of this process, is able to change any of these items, assuming they have the votes. So, and then finally, I just have a list of stipend recipients in the town. This has been a moving number that has been reduced as people retire, and that's just more for your information. So, are there any questions on the budget?
I'm sure they will.
And obviously, I'll be available as you go through this and have individual questions.
Great. Thank you, Jeff.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Jeff's been working on this, and I haven't been making it easy on him because I keep running in and changing things on him. Okay. So we're gonna jump into the workshop of the agenda items. The first item we have is opening the public hearing with for the proposed zone change petition for the properties at 676, 680, and on Western Highway and the north end of Ellsworth Drive in Blauvelt. So that's 3 and 4. Okay, I'll try to be louder. Number 5 is just basically taking my budget and, having it received in the clerk's office and distributed to the town board. Number 6, number 7 are related to the different districts we're talking about and setting a public hearing on their, regarding to the fire protection district and the libraries, again, with regard to the budget. Setting the date for the public hearing on the preliminary budget for October 8th. That's coming up fast. Number 9 is approving an agreement with an engineering group, Adsel, Nasher, and Ziegler. That's to do the environmental due diligence of the property that the town is interested in purchasing in South Nyack, the Olson Center property on the Hudson River. That's retaining them to do the environmental study. Number 10, this is the one with Assemblyman John McGowan has obtained some grant money for the town of Orangetown and is looking to do several, is this the right, did I got the one run? Yeah, do shade structures and stuff to help us in the parks. So basically, we have to pass a resolution and say that the town board, if it goes over, we are committed up to $10,000 if it goes over. So that's for, again, a lot of people have been asking for shade structures in some of our parks. So that was short notice, but we got it done. Number 11, we are appointing Matt Miller to the member of the Orangetown Planning Board. So he is currently on our ACA board. I don't know if he's here tonight. He said he might. And there was an opening, so he is being moved to the Orangetown Planning Board. And then number 12, we're appointing Matthew Carey to ACA board to fulfill the term of Matt Miller. So those are the 2 appointments to the boards. And I thank those gentlemen for volunteering. It is a thankless job being on those boards. Number 13, authorized, so this is, and we could have Jim come up if anyone has questions, but this is, we got a grant to replace the bridge at Margaret Kean Drive, which apparently is in not very good condition. So basically, does it say how much, Allison, how much is the total grant? It was a lot, right? 2.9 million. So that's what the grant amount is. So, and this is related to that. Basically, we have to commit, I guess, to $369,000 on the project.
16,000 is the town's responsibility.
Only 16? Okay, that's a deal. Okay, and I guess Jim's here if we have any questions. I'm sorry? That's in Pearl River, or for Reed 304. No, you're gonna have to wait to the public comment, but, no, that's okay. We're here all night, but yeah. It's basically a bridge that is in really bad repair, so that's why the state is giving us that kind of money. And then we have number 14, award a contract to WWTP Milling for the paving and drainage. So this again is environmental management and engineering, and lowest bidder. And then we have lend assistance, which is always the fun stuff. We have to Trobenfest, which is Sunday, October 6th. And then we have Pearl River Day, for everybody who wants to know, is October 19th. So those are 2 lend assistance. We give garbages and things like that. And then we have accept and file some documents. So that is it. Do you want to go to the public hearing first or open the public comment? Are we going to pass the regular public comment? Should we just open the public comment and not do the regular general public comment? Right. Yeah, okay. Okay, so normally we have a public comment where people can just come up and talk about just about anything. But we're going to jump into the public hearing because I'm presuming that's what most of you are here for. Couple just point of clarification. You have a 5-minute time limit for a public hearing. You should be able to see it somewhere. I know they have clocks all over. Yeah, they're all over the place now. So you'll be able to see the time. There's, just so everyone knows, there's no vote going to be taken on this tonight. That's why we're having the hearing, but especially being with one of our council people not here. So it's really just an opportunity for the applicant to make a presentation and then to hear from you people. So can I get a motion to open the public hearing with regard to the proposed zone change for Western Highway and Ellsworth Drive?
I make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay. So I think we'll start with the applicant coming up and making a presentation.
Good evening. My name is Donald Brenner. I am the attorney for the applicant. I would like to distribute certain information before we get down to the presentation.
Is everybody, do you guys, did you press it? I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Is this the same thing again?
Tom, can you make sure you speak loud into the mic?
Can you hear me? All right.
You just identify for the record what you just handed in to the town clerk.
Pardon me?
Just identify what you handed to the town clerk so that it's on the
Oh,
record.
it's primarily just a surmise of what we're going to be presenting to the board. I just put it in a written form, so while I'm talking, you can read it. Okay, the property in question was acquired by my petitioners, Hegarty Homes Incorporated and Hudson Valley Nursery Incorporated, in 1990. Parcel number 1, section 7005, block 1, lot 14.2, is located at the intersection of Western Highway and Libra Road. Parcel number 2, section 7005, block 1, lot 14.1, is located at the intersection of Old Western Highway and Western Highway. And parcel number 3, section 7005, block 1, 17.1, is located north of Ellswood Drive in the hamlet of Blowveld. The parcels are vacant with a total area of 6.53 acres. As noted, as I said before, as noted on the Orangetown tax map, 7005, block 1, lot 14.1, 7005, block 1, lot 14.2, section 7005, block 1, lot 17.1. The parcels were originally owned by the water company as a buffer to Lake Tapan and was zoned R80. As the area developed and municipal services became available, such as transportation and sewers, the Public Service ordered that the water company to sell parcels, and in 1990, the petitioners purchased the realty as Lot 14 and 17.1, as shown on the Orangetown tax map. In 1998, the petitioners attempted to establish a section of Lot 14 for a landscape nursery business, which did not develop. In the process, they divided Lot 14 into 2 independent lots, which is 14.1 and 14.2. The surrounding properties in question were zoned R80 to the west, which is the water company, R40 to the east, and R15 to the south. To assist the town board, I have enclosed a checkoff sheet, titled Appendix A, which highlights the critical factors which should be reviewed before the requested zone change is granted. The 3 factors are location, size of the character of the change, and the effect each would have on the neighboring community. The next 2 items are related to the fact that the change would not be detrimental to the site nor to the adjacent properties. Now, I have Mr. Greenwell here. He did a lot of survey work on the process. I would like him to give you the physical situation, and then we'll continue with the presentation. So, Jay, you want to go on? Sure.
Thank you. Jay Greenwell, land surveyor, land planner. Up on the screen is a tax map of the area, and the 3 lots that are being considered here are these 3 lots right here. These 3 here. These front on Western Highway, a little bit of Old Western Highway, and the stub at the end of Ellsworth Drive. As Donald mentioned, this was part of the water company property which owned all of this piece of land, and this was divested when it was no longer needed for the watershed, and the area that Mr. Brenner indicated is R15 is all this area to the south and to the east. There's R40 to the southeast is R15 and R40 to the east. The site is heavily wooded. If you wouldn't, could you shift to actually the next slide? This is the area that shows. There you go. This is the R15 area, the area of Ellsworth Drive, and then across the street to the southeast. Then there's the R40 portion, then R40 again to the north and east, and then R80 is most of the water company property and some other residential properties to the north. The next slide, please. This next slide is the one that depicts most of the interesting stuff that we're proposing. And this, actually, if you could zoom out a little bit, then people could see it a little better. Here's the stub of Ellsworth Drive, and we're proposing, can you just zoom out a little bit, please, Allison? Yeah, you could, that's probably good enough. Well, actually, there you go. Stay there for just a second. This is the end of Ellsworth Drive. This is the Old Western Highway and Western Highway intersection. That's a little Y there, and then further to the north. Now, this layout proposes 2 single-family homes that would utilize the end of Ellsworth Drive. There would be a cul-de-sac. What was the name of the road to the north? Lieber? Lieber. There you go. Keep scrolling up. There we go. Several lots would front on Western Highway, and then there would be a proposed cul-de-sac that would include several additional lots. Now, when looking at this subdivision layout to begin with, we considered an initial layout that showed a cul-de-sac that would come off of Ellsworth Drive and then circle around right before this patch of federal wetlands. And we discounted that because of the additional traffic that we felt that would burden the people on Ellsworth Drive. The other layout that we obviously considered was a through road, which is coming off of this area and then coming down to Ellsworth, and discounted that because that would not only send a lot more traffic, not just from this subdivision, but from other people avoiding the Old Western Highway intersection. So we discounted the through road, we discounted the larger cul-de-sac that would put all the traffic from this onto Ellsworth Drive. Now, the total number of building lots that we're proposing is 14. We set aside the northwesterly corner of this for a parcel that would be dedicated to the town of Orangetown, that would include part of the federal wetlands that have been delineated, and this would be an area that would be available for stormwater mitigation. Much of the stormwater mitigation would be provided on each of the lots, but there is a public road that would be provided here, and that drainage would have to be conveyed into the drainage area, the drainage mitigation area, because the town would own the road ultimately. The existing turnaround at the end of Ellsworth Drive is kind of informal, to put it best. It's not a full-size turnaround. We would be dedicating this fully and improving this T turnaround so that the hammerheads meet the criteria of the town of Orangetown highway specifications. The project would utilize gravity sewers for most of it. There would maybe some areas of this cul-de-sac because the road, Western Highway, is higher and the pitch of the property is east to west in general. There may be some of these lots may need ejector pumps, but everything would be on public sewers and everything would be on public water with gas and electric all provided. All the utilities are available to the site. you want to go through the county planning board letter? Okay. All right, so, I mean, if you have any questions on the proposed layout, I'd be happy to see if I can answer them.
Well, I don't know if this is on the proposed layout, but I do have a question. Do you know how many houses under the current zone, the R80, that would be able to be on that lot?
I think there would be 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. What I did- Yep.
Okay, the next factor I want to do is I want to introduce the board to Margaret Connolly from the Realty Company of Howard Hanna Rand Realty. She's been actively engaged in real estate transactions in Orangetown, Rockland, and Bergen County. Ms. Connolly will assure the board that this zone will be in no way detrimental to the adjacent areas. In fact, it will be beneficial. So, Margaret, would you like to?
Good evening. My name is Peggy Connolly.
Yeah.
Hello. Good evening. I am Peggy Connolly. I am a real estate broker in Rockland County for 38 years. I am very familiar with the property and with the client who would like to get the rezoning. The communities need housing on medium-sized lots. This would be R15, 15,000 square feet. Client would be able to construct a dwelling on this site which would be affordable and meets the needs of the community. A development of this nature will upgrade the surrounding neighborhoods as well. There is desperate need for housing. Thank you.
Now, as related to the traffic, the conceptual design which Mr. Greenwell showed you does not propose a road connecting Ellswood Drive to Western Highway and Lieber Road. And therefore, what we did is we were sure not to have that would be a shortcut from this intersection. The traffic from the proposed 5 homes in the cul-de-sac would be minimus. The next key factor would be the creation of additional taxes for the town. If you take a look at your sheet, the present property delivers to the town an annual tax of $28,712. If the proposed development was permitted with the 14 homes, the projected yearly tax would be increased to $294,000. And this, by the way, was based on an $850,000 house. These houses might even go more. The water is provided by Veola, sewer by the town of Orangetown, gas and electric from Orange and Rockland, police from the town of Orangetown, and the fire from the Blover Fire Department. In all instances, demand from these departments under the proposed change will be primarily the same. The change will not in any way burden the school district. In fact, the Orangetown Central District would welcome the new students. Again, the benefit to the town, the community is in great need of this kind of dwellings in Blauvelt. The tax revenues would increase from $29,000 to $290,000, which is 10 times the amount, or 1,000% increase. We have attempted to provide the board with a full presentation of the advantages of the change. If you have that sheet, which I gave to you before, which listed all of the items which we had in mind, those being site location, size of the parcel, the character of the change, the effect, traffic, development of adjacent properties, public services available, school district, and benefits. I think now we're open to questions from the board or anybody else who would like to request the presentation. Yes.
So they said on R80, you would only be permitted 3 houses. What about if it was R40? Okay.
I
I ask if it was R80 was allowed 3 houses, what would R40 be? Because the two surrounding areas are R15 and R40. So I just was trying to get a comparison.
We did do a preliminary layout with the R40 situation, and the R40 situation required a through street to Liba from Ellsworth, and we felt that would be detrimental to the community.
How many?
And it was 7 or 8 lots, and that was a problem because that would be a shortcut, and I know people would use it.
Okay, I'm going to ask everybody to please be respectful. You're going to get an opportunity to speak at the microphone, but please, we don't need anyone commenting from the audience. Okay, I have a question about this detention basin that, I don't know if that's what they're calling it, but towards the Lieber Road section that you're donating to us. Was that what I understood? It looks like from the map, there's a little strip that goes down, and then there's an area where there's going to be a detention basin?
I'm missing the question. Could you?
Yeah, area to be conveyed to
Oh.
the town of Orangetown for detention system. Is in the back, is the, I don't know which arrow is.
What we're showing is this area here. We're showing this area here.
Yeah.
That would be
We're going to be responsible.
another lot. And the reason for that is that because there's a public road, the drainage from a public road has to go into some sort of detention facility. And because it's holding and storing public road runoff, it would have to be in a lot that would be a detention pond or an underground subsurface system that would store the 100-year storm as necessary by New York State DEC regulations for stormwater management. So this area would be, we haven't shown it as how it would be graded, but it would be set aside for use for conveying the runoff from the roadway along the back of these lots through an easement into the wetlands and into this area that would be excavated and created to a detention basin, similar to, I don't know, Virginia Homes off of William Street, to the ones that were done for Erie Street off of Private Del Regno. They would be on lots that would be owned, and the town would be would have to own them and maintain them to accept the runoff from the roadway.
From which roadway are we getting the runoff from?
The new proposed cul-de-sac, which is just off the screen here. If you could push
So the
that
town
up,
would be
Alice.
responsible to pay to put in this,
What's that?
the town would be responsible to pay to put in this detention system?
Oh, no, no, no.
Okay.
That would be the developer. The developer has to put in the road and all the public improvements, the sewer, the extension, the water main extension, and construct a detention basin at his own expense and fence it and landscape it and create it to the satisfaction of the Environmental Management Department and the Highway Department and the town board, and put up a performance bond, and all of that would be done in connection with the subdivision through the planning board. But the developer would have to pay for every penny of that.
Please understand that this is a conceptual design because we wanted to show the board what could happen. We would, if we got the proper zoning, we would then have to go to the planning board, zoning board, and everybody else to meet all the requirements of the town code, which detailed landscaping plans would be shown and storage facilities would be designed.
Not zoning board.
Planning
I
board,
just want to correct you.
Okay.
We weren't going to ask for any variances.
Right.
okay.
All right,
We'll let the public, okay, why don't you take a seat, we'll let the public speak, and then we're sure you will have some other questions for you when they're
Okay,
done
fine.
speaking.
Thank you.
Okay, so the first person I have signed up to speak is Vanessa Lappins.
Can you guys hear me?
yes.
Thank you, Town Board Supervisor Kenny, for allowing us to speak tonight. This property is
I'm sorry,
pristine
we need your
woodland.
name and.
I'm sorry, Vanessa Lappins. I live in Blauvelt, and I'm a member of Coupon, and I am also a neighbor to the property. I will be directly impacted. Allowing this change would adversely affect the pristine woodland adjacent to the public drinking supply. One of these lots is a federal wetland and should not be developed on at all. Even the developer shows it on their property. To talk about taking a federal wetland that hosts so much diverse wildlife and so many trees and turning it into a detention basin, I can't even imagine the impact to the flooding in the neighborhood as well as the impact to the wildlife. Wildlife depends on this area as a wildlife corridor to get back into the woodlands there, and as we keep on pressuring the wildlife, there's literally no place left for them to go. Taking down so many trees, and if you look at the diagram there, imagine plastic fences. They're tiny lots, so people are going to put up plastic fences, so it'll be stripped of all of its trees, and it will be plastic fence after plastic fence, preventing the wildlife from moving through the area and taking all of the trees away. Even if they plan to plant more, it'll be 50 years before it becomes a shaded woodland again like it is today. Additionally, we're going to see herbicides, pesticides, salt, everything flowing into the watershed and just poisoning the land. To say that it's not going to impact the character is ridiculous, because the character of the neighborhood is still fairly rural. And, and then finally, the comprehensive plan talked about us thoughtfully preserving areas like this as open space, and this is one of the areas that's going to require some thoughtful planning and some guidance to retain a wildlife corridor and also, protect the watershed and the neighbors. And I know one of the neighbors will probably speak about this, but we have, flooding today at the north end of the property. Bluefield Farm, the southern end of that property, becomes literally a pond after any significant rain. And the 100-year storm, we know we've had several of them in the past, year alone. So I'd like the town to consider this request as really not helping the town at all. And finally, when we speak about affordable housing, $850,000 isn't really something that a downsizing senior or a brand-new family is going to afford. So I'd like you to turn down this proposal and certainly relook at what this property needs and figure out a way to preserve this open space for the town. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, it looks like Joan Foley from Pearl River.
Good evening. I'm actually not here to talk about this proposal.
That's quite all right. You're
But I can make a connection,
No, this is the public hearing
because
on this.
although many of the...
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're right. This is the public hearing on just this, on this matter. You have to wait for the public
So
comment.
now, so because you skipped over the public hearing part, I have to wait till everybody here speaks. Wait,
Unfortunately, yes.
how long is that going to be? Because my
don't
speech
know.
is about 2 minutes.
I don't know.
Okay, I'll wait.
I'm sorry.
Maybe next time, don't skip it.
Well, again, you can't, either way, you can't win. Okay, next we have Don Pabbit? Wasn't even close, okay. Come on. Doesn't that look the P?
Hi, can you hear me? Am I close enough? Thank you, Board and Supervisor Kenny, for hearing us tonight. I live directly across from where the cul-de-sac will empty out onto Western Highway. And I kind of resent the fact that they could even think that this wouldn't affect the neighborhood. I'll go back to, I'm sorry, I have to cheat here a little bit. The comprehensive plan, that was this age group of people. We put last 10 years of input into that because this is what we wanted to see. And to preserve the areas that we have left would be a great thing. That's what this is. That's what it was meant to be. The fact that they might want to change it now further along to make more profit, that's another story. But this is a very nicely wooded area. It's a great area. Access, all that she said earlier, that's all important. But that comprehensive plan is what we should be sticking to. It was just passed about a year ago, and isn't that what we want? That's the open area that we sought to preserve, the trees and all that. You have an opportunity right here just to stick to the zoning that it was. From that point forward is all acre zoning. The flooding, I think Joy will talk about the flooding. I watch it all the time. Water comes from the streets right there, from Lieber and from Western Highway, and sits right there. If you're going to develop that and raise that area, well, now the town's going to have more problems with that because it's a county road, and it's just getting worse and worse, and more development's only going to make it worse. Yes, I'm sure they can convey water away and all that kind of stuff, but a wetland, I hadn't seen a environmental review. Maybe I missed it when I collected all the papers, but wouldn't that address some of the things that we're talking about, including the effect to the local environment of the people there? So another thought is, older Western Highway, we all back out onto our houses. We have to back out, right? We don't have circle or driveways. They're older houses. So the constant input of traffic to this area, we have heavy commercial traffic because of O'Sullivan, the trash people, the storage facility. We still get a lot of big trucks rolling down there. And then when the mall went in, we have that problem. So increased traffic. Now we'll put even more traffic there. And I think this is, again, sort of a very in-your-face to say that this wouldn't affect the community. So just the flooding side. Oh, again, a county road. We only have storm drains on one side. There's no culverts. There's no sidewalks in that area. Increasingly, I watch people all the time now. The bicycle traffic and foot traffic on that road is getting to be kind of crazy if you think about it. There's no place to walk. They walk on my yard, which is just fine. I don't care. It's either that or suffer the consequences. So I think I've got it all. And maybe just a thought to the idea of providing tax base. So 14 extra houses, and then we have improvements and things to maintain, such as the detention basin, another road. Really? Is that a trade-off, or are we losing? And if we want to attract people for lower income housing, whatever it is, I hear that there's something going on at the IBM property that might provide smaller housing opportunities, and that we don't need to change the zoning to meet this demand. What we want was what we asked for in the comprehensive plan, to maintain these sites. Thank you very much.
Next, it looks like Tom Shelby.
Hello, my name is Tommy Shalvey, and I am from Blauvelt. Quick question. Legally, how many houses is he supposed to build on this? What do you say, 3? 3 in total. That's a no-brainer. It should be squashed already, right? Anyway, at his partition, a couple of things he's written down here. He says, the development of the property under an R15 zone would be consistent with the general character of immediate area surrounding the subject premises, which is principally residential. That's really not true, because you got the farm on the north, you got nothing on the west, you got R40 on the east, and on the south you do have R15. So that comment is not true. Number 2, the granting of such relief in this petition will most appropriate use of the subject parcel and will promote general health and welfare of the community. I'm not sure about that one either, because knocking down a ton of trees is probably not good for the community, but then again, I'm not an expert on ecosystems, so other people would have their things on that. Another thing is it says it will preserve property values and will be beneficial to the owners. I'm up here 25 years, and my property value has gone up, has never gone down. So I don't think that's a true statement either. And the last one is that the parcel which is the subject of this petition can be best developed under the proposed R15 zone. Obviously, that's just the developer's point of view, because the people that live in the area haven't got that point of view at all. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Henry Wemmer.
Henry Wemmer, Sunset Road. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
What is with this speaker system?
I don't know, it's brand new, it should be better.
It's brutal, brutal. All right.
Is Brendan back there?
So I'm here 31 years. I've been in and out of the town hall a couple times, never been successful, and now here comes round 3, we're going to call this, with this project. And this person, I understand, bought the property, now has the right to build it, develop it, understood. But to change zoning laws, to me, in this day and age, no. For the property that we have, we moved here for that reason. I know I did. I came from the Bronx, it was tight. I don't want to wave to the neighbor through the window while I wash my hands. And I don't think this overdeveloping is a benefit in any way. When that Western Highway Bridge was under construction, my Sunset Road shook every day, all day, and all night. No offense to Jimmy O'Sullivan, he's a great guy, he does a lot for the area, but his trucks are a lot of traffic on Sunset and all the other county roads. I don't think there's any reason to change a zoning to increase housing unless it's to someone's pocket or benefit. All right, it does not help the area. And as for the water and the mosquitoes and the turtles, there's a lot going on. I had issues with the town with the mosquitoes, and it's not helping us. This zoning law, the change, you know, they're saying it's going to help. I think it will hurt us. So I'm against it, and that's just my opinion.
Thank you.
So,
This looks like it's crossed out. Did Buzz Ostrowski cross their name out? No? Okay. Joy Macy?
Hello, my name is Joy Macy. I live at 690 Western Highway, just north of the proposed property. I believe the board is obligated to take a good, hard look at what this would mean to the neighborhood and to the greater good of the people of Orangetown before it comes to a decision. I trust that the board will not make an arbitrary, capricious decision on such an important matter to our town, and that proper due diligence has been done. I have many concerns about this change in zone. The property was previously owned by the water company to protect our drinking water supply. It is a woodland with a stream that runs through the property that feeds directly into the Hackensack Reservoir. In the 26 years that we have lived here, the flooding of my property, the road, and the property south of me has only gotten worse. The first couple houses on this plan south of me are both on land designated wetland. And, you know, when he talks about that retention basin, I mean, that just seems crazy to me. I mean, if anybody's driven on Western Highway, you know it floods there, and, you know, that sounds like a nightmare of mosquitoes. Has there been a long-form environmental impact study on this property? Does anybody know if there's been an environmental impact?
We don't answer questions during the
Okay.
5 minutes, you know.
Anyway, okay.
We'll address them at the end.
Okay, Western Highway is a very busy road with people habitually driving too fast. I'm concerned about the increase in traffic with so many new homes proposed. With the recent increase in development, there are more children, more pedestrians, more bicyclists, and also more trucks along this stretch of Western Highway. I believe there should be a traffic study. And then there's the character of the neighborhood. Western Highway is one of the earliest roads in Rockland County, one of the last remaining rural areas of Orangetown. We say rich in history. It's one of the most historic roads. There are Dutch sandstones all along it. the library. I think it's important to, maintain that character. And as you go north, as we've been saying, the zoning is R40. It has a different feeling. The houses are more spread out, they're older homes, and I feel like it's important to look at the bigger picture, what would be lost if we allow the high-density development in the area, the loss of the rural character of our neighborhood forever, the natural beauty and the wildlife of the woodlands, and we would be getting more houses, more flooding, an increase in traffic on our road, more pollutants to our water supply. So I just would hope we could find a way to develop this property responsibly with fewer homes, more in keeping with the character of the neighborhood, protecting our water supply, and preserving open space. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Michelle Brisson. Got one right.
Hi, good evening, everyone. How are you? Okay, I hope everybody can hear me. I'm a little nervous, but I'll just go ahead. So my name's Michelle Brisson. I'm an Orangetown resident. I currently reside at 690 Western Highway, and I'm concerned about the board approving the rezoning of the green space along Western Highway. This piece of land was previously owned by the water company, and obviously the water company believed that the land was important enough to protect the watershed that flows into the Hackensack River. Later on, it was sold, but the water from this area still flows, as it always has, into the Hackensack River, which, as you know, is a part of the public water supply. For this reason alone, I think the board should not permit rezoning of this area. But there are more reasons. And since 1990, we have learned much more about the importance of protecting our wetlands and watersheds. It's my part of this area, it's my understanding, is federally protected wetlands. And wetlands are biologically diverse ecosystems that provide clean water, prevent erosion, mitigate flooding, sequester carbon, and provide habitat for a larger number of our fellow inhabitants. We're talking a lot about humans tonight, but a lot more of our fellow inhabitants with whom we share this marvelous planet. The wetlands here do all of that every season, every day, every year. This patch of wetlands does its part, but there is flooding on Western Highway that has only gotten worse in recent years. Developing this area will only worsen that flooding. This precious green space adds to the quality of life here. I call it precious because how many large swaths of green with such rich wildlife still exist here in Blauvelt? I'd like to thank Mr. Lane, who I don't know if he's here tonight, for not developing this piece of property for so many years. People choose to live here because our quality of life is better when we live a bit closer to nature. Cutting down trees and paving over this patch that is the home to multiple layers of wildlife will not only destroy those wildlives and their communities, but it will erode the quality of life for the human community in Blauvelt. The board is responsible for making a responsible decision. Protecting the water supply is a responsible thing to do. Protecting green spaces in small ways and in big ways is a responsible thing to do. Protecting the quality of life for the people in your community is the responsible thing to do. Protecting the community from increased flooding and traffic problems is the responsible thing to do. I don't think allowing filling and building on this federally recognized wetland is responsible. I also wonder if it's legal. I urge the board to let the zoning stand as it is at R80. You are not preventing Mr. Lane from building on this land. He bought it with the understanding that it was zoned as 1 house per 2 acres. This green space serves our community better if it is left greener, or better yet, not built on at all. Thank you very much.
Marion Gavioli? Yeah.
My name is Marion Gavioli. I've been an Orangetown resident for 44 years. I first moved here in Blauvelt, a little north of this area, so I'm pretty familiar with it. I recall very clearly how it became R80. I was the chairman of the Citizens Advisory Committee for the master plan in the 80s. I guess it was more like 88, around that time. And all of the water company property was zoned R80, as they have explained here. And they did challenge it up to the Court of Appeals. Mr. Gavioli was the outside counsel, and it was upheld as this was environmentally sensitive, and that's why at that time it was zoned the R80. I would refute the statements that the character in surrounding areas are 15. It is not. It's predominantly R40, as Mr. Valentine had pointed out before, because I lived in the area. And more importantly, abutting it is a 49-acre parcel, which is currently R80 and owned by Corwick Realty. So my concern here is, if this were to be changed to R15, what happens to the abutting property that's R80? That's 49 acres times 3 is approximately 150 houses to flood into Blauvelt. So I understand we're talking about this project and this proposal, but this is abutting. Mr. Brenner did talk about what lots are abutting it, and it is an R80, 49-acre parcel that abuts it. So that's a big concern for me. And so I would ask the town board to look at this very, very carefully to try to preserve the nature of the area, which is predominantly, it's now R80 or R40, but not R15. Thank you.
Thank you. Wayne Gavioli?
Good evening, members of the board. Tonight is a critical night for the town of Orangetown. The attempt to make a zone change here, if you allow it, will open a Pandora's box that you will not be able to close. No one knows this better than me. As Dr. Gavioli indicated to you, this town hired me as outside counsel when the water company brought lawsuits against it. I argued the case in the Supreme Court, the Appellate Division, the Court of Appeals. They wanted to change their property from this R80 down to R40, R15, whatever. They brought in their high-powered attorneys from the city of New York. And I stood before the Court of Appeals and argued this was not necessary. The 4 justices of the Court of Appeals questioned all of us, and they concluded, Mr. Gavioli is right. The town has diversity. It has R15. It has RG. It has R22. There is no reason why these open lots, large lots, should not be preserved. All 4 justices agreed with me. All 4 justices defeated the application of the water company to rezone. You open this Pandora's box, I'm telling you, it will go on from there. If not If him, why not me? Why not me? Why not me? Because that's what, there will be no justification. None. The zoning plan, the master plan, was well thought out. That's what the Court of Appeals said. They agreed with me. We cannot change this. He's allowed to develop it. He knew what he bought it for. And when the water company wanted to change so that they could sell it for more money, they did not prevail. So now they're coming back. And the chickens will come home to roost if you change this zone. I had to kind of laugh a little bit when Mr. Brenner said, well, there'll be more taxes. Are you kidding? Each additional house costs the town a lot more money for police officers, building inspectors, parks and recreations, et cetera, et cetera. Those things are not provided for nothing. Yeah, people pay taxes, but then you have to provide them with services. So that is just false. There's nothing wrong with diversity. This is an area that has R40, R15, R22. There's nothing wrong with preserving it. What you will do will be end the town of Orangetown as you know it today. Because, again, as I said, if him, why not me? Why not me? Every R80 zone, even R40 zone, they don't even want to go from R80 to R40, they want to go to R15, will be the subject of application after application after application. The town of Orangetown, as you know it, will cease to exist. Oh, we need more housing. These are going to be affordable housing? Come on, give me a break, huh? I've been doing this for over 30 years. Look, this is nothing more than greed, to be honest with you. I hate to use that word. It's contrary to the comprehensive plan that this town has in place, contrary to the comprehensive plan which has been upheld by the courts that I argued for. It will have an impact. To say it will not impact the surrounding properties is absurd. You can develop it. Go ahead and develop it for R80. That's what you bought it for. That's what you knew it was zoned for. But that's not good enough now. You want to end that because you want to make more money. And that doesn't impact the people on Western Highway or any other place. That is absurd to even contemplate that. It will be...
No, time is up. That is 5 minutes. There's plenty of time. Thank you. Give me a break. James McCaffrey. James McCaffrey.
It's pretty hard to follow that. Basically, I'm an Orangetown resident of the hamlet of Lawville, Ellsworth Drive, for 40 years. Wayne Gavioli was the attorney at my closing. I just say, if you are interested, I agree with everyone that was previously up here for the reasons of environmental reasons, impact reasons, traffic reasons. It's really not a good idea to change the zoning. I do have a question for the surveyor.
Please, can you just direct the questions to us, and at the end, we're going to have them answer things, but we don't do back and
I
forth.
can't throw him a question?
No.
I was just wondering if
You could ask the question now, and we'll call them up when you're done.
All right, well, basically, I'm concerned with there was a sewer right-of-way that goes through the 2 plots of land that he wants to build on, a huge sewer right-of-way, and with a large, about quarter the size of this panel, of sewer connections. Okay. What do you intend to do with that?
It's hard to see on that board, but ask your question, he'll answer it at the end.
That's really not my main concern. My main concern is the environment. The streams that run through there, as they've all contested to, overflow. They are drain streams. They come through to fill the reservoir. And during rainfall and snowfall, that all comes through there. I know the property a little bit. I lived there for 40 years. So that's my concern. My also concern is how they're going to build over that huge sewer contraption there. But I do agree with everyone that has spoken previously. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It looks like Jacob, somewhat a T. Oh, Tannenbaum?
Hi, my name is Jacob Tannenbaum. I've been a resident of Tapan for 20-something years. I lose count. So I want to tell you about the parcel, not just the parcel of land you're developing, but the wetland behind it, because it's a massive complex. I've worked with the Turtles of Western Highway project for, I don't know, 8 years or so. That's the wetland. That's the wetland that produces all the turtles that you see walking across Western Highway. It is truly massive. It also produces all the turtles that you might see crossing Sickletown Road. Those are the ones we don't have enough staff to protect. What you're seeing there is just a small part of the incredible diversity of wildlife that lives in that wetland. We didn't come here to Rockland County because we like suburban sprawl. We didn't come here to Rockland County because it has so many great malls that one of them can't even make it anymore. We came here to Rockland County because of the wildlife, because of the green space, because we wanted to be able to look out our window and see things like turtles and deer and fox crossing around. What you're doing here will impact the wildlife that we see. It will impact the quality of life. It will affect the very reasons we've all come to Rockland County. We've already started seeing wildlife impacted by the kinds of construction that you're talking about. We've rescued several turtles that one of them was literally underneath the blade of a bulldozer. They stopped the bulldozer, thank goodness, and called us, and we took care of it and relocated it to the area that we're talking about here now. This will have an effect. It will have an effect. It will have an effect not just on wildlife, but on all of us and on the very reasons that we came to Rockland County in the first place. Thank you.
Thank you. That's the last person that signed up, but is there anybody here who, just come up, just if you don't mind stating your name when you get up to the...
My name is Billy Ottinger. I live on the cul-de-sac right down from it on Milton Grant Drive. It was nice to hear all these people with their reasons why. I'm here over 30 years, and every time a situation comes up, everybody comes down and writes their little notes. And I've been through about 4 or 5 incidents, and it doesn't really matter. It started with the group home on my cul-de-sac, where a group of Dominican nuns said no problem was going to happen. Check the police report every week. Then Rockland Orange Electric said we needed to cut the trees down where my property is because of the danger of the wires. In reality, they were saving money on the trimming service that they cut out. Then there was a church down Sunset, no problem. Everybody came and said all the reasons why not to cut all the trees down. That church came up. So here's what I'm going to ask. You can't answer it now. At the end of the meeting, what's the procedure? Oh, now before we have, like I said, Dominican nuns, now you have a lawyer and a realtor selling this on us. That's honest. At the end of this meeting, let me know what exactly goes on. Do you guys vote, and then it goes on to the zoning, whatever it does? And if it's you guys who are voting, nothing personal, but if anybody has a contracting business or is a relative of the tree cutting down, you should recluse yourself from the vote. Because we all know it's all nice when you write the things down about the environment. It means nothing. It means nothing. I've been through this for 30 years. It's all about this. So anybody up there, if that's the vote, let me see who's going to be the contractor and the tree trimmer and everything like that. Because if you guys really want to make a difference, it comes when you vote them out. I don't know anybody here personally. I don't know anybody. I never got into politics. But I come up here for 30 years, and I've seen all this. I have arguments with the cops, with the group home. I had arguments with Orange and Rockland. Nice, easy arguments. But it doesn't mean nothing what you guys are saying. Nothing. I'm sorry. It's this. Who's getting paid, what contractors are involved, and that makes the decision. Now, I'm sorry, again, I don't know anybody personally. It's not a personal attack, but I've been here and I've seen everybody.
You know, I'm going to interrupt you, because if you have objections, reasonable objections to the project.
Oh, that's
please-
my objection
no,
is.
No, but saying that these people on this board are on the tape
I didn't say
is
that.
not acceptable.
No, but I want to know.
No, I'm
well,
going
you
to
can
tell
say
you,
whatever
it's not
you want.
acceptable.
I can care less what you say. Let me speak, okay? I've always used it.
I've heard a lot,
Yeah.
so if you want to
No,
give us
I'm going to
specific
continue
objections-
speaking. I'm sorry if you're offended,
I
but that's
am
the way
offended.
politics is.
I'm offended.
That's the way politics is. You got to take the good with the bad, and I'm telling you,
Yeah, and
make sure you let us know if you're voting. If that's how the vote goes, I don't know if it goes to zoning or if you go vote. I don't know. You should accept. Please explain what the next process is.
We did at the very beginning.
Tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
No,
what we
but I
said at
just
the
want to
beginning
know
of the
who
meeting.
votes. I'm saying, you guys, the zoning, I don't know how it goes. But I've been here 30 years. It affects my property. Every time I come here, my property, not yours. Everybody says, oh, group home, it's great. No, it's not. Cops are there every week. 30 years, lady, I'm sorry. So don't tell me I can't speak.
Okay, I'm not telling you can't speak, but I have a group home on my, yes,
I'm
be
trying.
respectful.
I said I did. I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
It was respectful.
But I'm
Yeah.
just saying, again, it's nothing personal. But these people spend time writing things down. Well, we all know what it is. We don't live in a box. These 6 houses or whatever, from a lawyer and a realtor is trying to sell you on this?
Well, hello.
Hello?
You've said it already once.
I said.
You know.
Well, I do get 5 minutes. Oh, no, you cut me
Yeah.
short already? That's all
No,
right.
well,
I'm
well,
sorry if
well,
I offended you.
You did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
offended.
Not really, I'm sorry, but that's
I-
politics.
Because if you think that helped, it doesn't help. No, someone behind you wants to speak next. Just again, your name for the,
Hi, thank you very much. I'm Carolyn Hill, living on Western Highway. I don't want to offend anyone here. So thank you for listening to all of us. We very much appreciate it. My family did move to Western Highway because of the wetlands, the wildlife, and the woods, and because our house that we chose to live in is on about almost an acre of land. So personally for me, the thought of 15, 14 homes on 6+ acres of property really kind of blows my mind. Since living on Western Highway and being neighbors with some of our oldest residents, being turtles, fox, coyotes, all the wildlife that we're all mentioning, a couple of us have become wildlife rehabbers. And I can tell you it's becoming more difficult to find homes, habitats for the animals that our community contacts us to say we need help for these animals. So for one example, was already mentioned earlier by one of our neighbors, a wonderful gentleman foreman of a construction site contacted one of our turtle volunteers with a little box turtle that said, we're paving over its habitat. Can you find another home for it? So actually we did. It took a little research, and guess where we wanted to find a home for it? And we released it in the very property that we're talking about now in terms of leveling it and adding 14 homes. I don't honestly know what some wildlife will do and where some wildlife will go. Another real quick example, all over our Orangetown, actually, not just Western Highway, we received a call about a black bear that was in the intersection. I don't remember where exactly. It was not Western Highway, but people obviously and understandably were very concerned and scared. Well, I can guarantee you so was the bear. The bear shot up a pole. Why? Because there wasn't a tree. Ultimately, I think the bear ran away with us, many of us standing watching. The thought of, if I heard correctly, that our wetland portion of this property will be excavated and then turned into a water detention center, I don't know what that means, but I don't know. Excavating a natural wetland sounds too good. I think, honestly, that new homes are wonderful. New families moving in are wonderful. But within reason, when we live in the area that we live in with the natural wonders and wetlands around us, and to please remember that woods and wetlands are homes too, just not to humans. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Harding. I am a 36-year-old, so I thought it might be beneficial to hear from me. I'm a lifelong resident of Blauvelt. My mother is a 68-year resident of Blauvelt. So we have been here forever. Blauvelt is home. Blauvelt is space. It's nature. It's enjoying our time here in peace, along with, having that privacy that a lot of people desire. I work with a lot of young people. I'm a teacher. I talk to them about, where are you looking? Where would you like to buy a home? What are their answers? In the South Orangetown School District, Blauvelt. Why Blauvelt? Blauvelt because you have that space. Your houses are not on top of each other. They want to go outside and enjoy their area. I live on Milton Grant, which is behind this property. My house is not directly affected, but I do live underneath the O&R wires, so I'm on the easement. 2 weeks ago, I sent you the email. You may have received it from me when we thought this was going to be presented in front of the planning board. The following week, I had huge truck tires in my backyard. Nobody except O&R is supposed to have access to my backyard. I spent 3 days on the phone calling every town and county department to try and find out who was in my backyard. Nobody wanted to answer to say it was them. I can only assume it had to do with this project because my backyard underneath those wires can take you to this back end of the project. I have dirt bikes and people that enjoy walking through my backyard. I can't put a fence up unless O&R approves it, and that's a massive amount of money on an acre of property. I have 2 children. I am concerned about if these developers decide they want to take the back route. Yes, I'm going to call the police department, but what happens when my kids are out there? And I'm not. Affordable housing for a 36-year-old, a 30-year-old, anything like that, is not $850,000. It's not even close. I bought my house on Milton Grant in 2017 for $454,000. And as a 30-year-old, that was hard. So in this economy and the way things are going, especially after November coming, it's not going to be affordable for young people. So I don't know why that's being considered. Why are we jumping from R80 to R15? I know we answered that, but I don't understand why in R40, why there needs to be a cut-through for Ellsworth. Just because you're going R40 doesn't mean you need 7 homes. You can adjust that to make sure that there's no cut-through for Ellsworth. You can do less than 7 homes. Make the properties bigger. Make it fit what Blauvelt's about. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Oh, let me adjust this. Hello, everyone. My name is Nicole Bermudez, and I'm a resident of Lieber Road in Blauvelt, lifelong 30 years old. I have multiple concerns as a resident of Blauvelt. This area, as previously stated, feeds into the Hackensack River, which leads into Lake Tappan and the Oradell Reservoir all the way in New Jersey. There is potential flooding impacts that could affect Western Highway, the Palisades Interstate, Convent Road, Veterans Memorial Drive, Blauvelt Road, Sickletown Road. All of this water leads to those roads. Have there been flood studies? Would these new homes be in a flood zone or expand the flood zone and the watershed to affect local homes like my own? There's also concern with mosquitoes. We currently have the Asia tiger mosquito within Rockland County, and as recently as this past June, there was tiger mosquitoes that tested positive for West Nile virus. If this is supposed to be for senior housing, I have major concerns for the health of said seniors, because those 50 and older are most at risk for complications with West Nile virus. There's also concerns with traffic, noise. I remember when behind Lieber Road, they put in new housing, and it grossly affected our noise complaints with the local trains going through and stuff like that. When I was a little kid, we didn't have that problem. We had single pane aluminum glass windows, and we could not hear the train. After those houses went in, oh boy. And with even less trees around to act as a natural mitigator of noise, it's going to get even worse and echo throughout the entire neighborhood. There's also concerns with the animals and wildlife that go into this wetlands area. Deer tend to go there. If they are not able to go there, will they bed down in people's yards? Will we have more ticks, more risk of people contracting Lyme disease? There's the turtle nesting and egg laying areas in there. Absolutely, it will be disrupted. For years, people have tried to put fences to mitigate that so they don't cross Western Highway. However, that has not worked as well as we had hoped. There's also fish and amphibians that are also part of the Hackensack River watershed. What impact will it have on them, and will this be studied? Also, local bird populations. We have hawks, eagles, woodpeckers, owls, and many, many more that I can't even name without running out of time today. I also have concerns about infrastructure. How long would it take to hook up to city water? Can the systems handle the added strain along with the roads? What is going to be the long-term impact on traffic? I am very concerned as well about small children this close to Western Highway. Will they know not to wander off towards this road? Probably not. And also, in terms of just making sure that things are safe, I remember back when I was in 5th grade, there was a girl that was crossing Western Highway. She was hit by a truck, you guys, and she spent months in the hospital recovering. She was lucky to be alive. I also have concerns as well about the electrical grid. In the summers, we regularly get brownouts and surges. With this many new houses in our area, how are they going to handle that with the infrastructure? But finally, calling this affordable housing is laughable at best. In 2019, in the US, the average home was $250,000. As of today, in 2024, the average house is $420,000. If you were to buy a home today with a 6% mortgage at a 30-year fixed rate for $450,000 with a $60,000 down payment, you will be paying over $3,000 a month. And to be able to qualify for that kind of a loan, you would need to have at least a $100,000 salary without any debt at all. I don't know about you, but there's very few 30-year-olds that I know around my age that have no debt. In the first year alone, you will be paying almost $100,000, and then for the next 30 years, you will be paying over $30,000 just to live in your house. And as for retirees, if you were to try to make those payments every year for 30 years, they would have to have over $1 million in the bank just to make those payments if they're getting 4% off of their assets. But that's not even the worst part. The median income within Rockland County as of 2022 census for individuals was just over $45,000. For households, it was $106,000 and change. The New York State average home price as of 2023 in November off of Red was $8,000. Our home
Thank you.
prices are even higher here.
Thank you. Sorry.
Hello. My name is Michelle Fitzpatrick, and I have lived on Ellsworth Drive for 21 years. My in-laws 20 years prior to that, so there's a combination of 40 years on Ellsworth Drive. Needless to say, we love our neighborhood. This is why it is so important to voice the potential impact this project may have on our beautiful corner of Blauvelt. While I understand Mr. Lane's desire to develop his property, I am deeply concerned about the potential negative impact of the proposed development on our neighborhood's character and tranquility. The construction and subsequent increase in traffic, noise, and pollution could significantly disrupt the very essence of our neighborhood. Not too long ago, we had many small children living on our block, and we were told by South Orangetown School District that the school buses were not permitted to come down our block because of how narrow it is, and they basically couldn't turn. But now we could potentially have a multitude of construction trucks and other vehicles taking up basically on our street, and I guess that seems to be acceptable. Our community values its green spaces and the sense of peace that they provide. Building on a wetland and losing the trees would significantly impact our neighborhood, and the proposed risk diminishing the qualities that contribute to the well-being of my family and my neighbors. Please reconsider this development and explore alternate options, prioritizing progress but also quality of life for current residents. Thank you for considering my perspective.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ariana Bermudez. My sister just spoke. We live on Lieber Road. I'm not going to talk. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk for long. I'm a teacher. I have nodes. It's a whole thing. We live on Lieber Road. This would directly not only impact our household, but the households that all live on Lieber Road, Redbud, all the houses around us. There's no way anybody who actually lives in this area would want this to happen. The amount of traffic would skyrocket, the danger, the amount of animals that would be displaced that would go into, guess what, our own backyards. They're already there. They don't have any space. They're already in our own backyards. Where else are they gonna go? They're gonna go into the road, they're gonna get hit. People are gonna get hurt. Animals are gonna get hurt. There's no reason for this to happen. There's no reason to need to rezone this area. The people who bought this knew what the zone was. They're just trying to make probably a profit, which nobody can really blame them. That's what you have to do to make a living. Nobody wants this who lives in this area. It's going to not only impact the residents, but for how many years? Our house got flooded in 2019 because of the amount of rain that we always get. Having more homes taking away all these trees and all these natural plants that soak up all that water, where else is it gonna go? I know that they're saying that this is gonna raise the amount of money that this area is producing for the town. How much money is then gonna have to go in year after year to fix and to redo plumbing and all this other stuff, the electrical? What money that you're gonna generate from tax revenue is then gonna have to go back and fix problems that they then created? I don't understand. And lastly, I don't know, I kind of lost my train of thought, sorry. A lot of things have already been said. I don't want to keep repeating myself. When it does come to a vote, please vote against this. It's not going to be good for the area, the amount of noise, the amount of pollution that's going to happen, the biodiversity we're going to lose in this area. It's great if you want to replant trees. How many years is it going to take before one tree that we have right now is going to be able to do a tree that you plant now? How many years until it does the amount of work that a tree that has been there for long before probably any of us were born? It's not going to work. What types of trees, what types of animal, what types of plants are you going to then put there? It's going to drastically decrease the biodiversity that we already struggle with in a very populated area. This is part of the beauty of not only Rockland, but of Blauvelt specifically. I love watching the trees change. We're about to have one of the most beautiful seasons in Rockland County, fall, when all the leaves change, when everything is showing the beauty of the natural world that, you know, we don't get a lot of time to see anyway because we're stuck doing our jobs, trying to make money so that we can have one Saturday a week to just be outside and enjoy what we already have. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Thomas Rudy, 675 Western Highway for 32 years, right across the street from that beautiful picture of a beautiful neighborhood. But your zoning, medium-density residential, means land to be utilized for residential purposes, including public housing, industrialized units, which does not exceed 8 dwelling units per gross acre. That is not why we moved here. This beautiful picture that you show there is a picture that he drew. Once they get that zoning, what do you think that picture is going to look like? It's a whole different world. That ruins our whole neighborhood. That's all I got to say.
Eileen?
Good evening, members of the board and the public. Land use and its who owns it. For many years, I've been on before the boards about different zoning issues. One of the questions I have is that the way the notice is published, is this the way it was in the newspaper about the public hearing? Because it does say a proposed zone change, but it doesn't say if it's an up zone or a down zone. It doesn't say from R80 to R15. So an average person that read this would say, it's not my neighborhood, who cares? However, it is a big impact on the area. When Mr. Amon Lane did buy the property, he bought it as an R80 zone, and Mr. Lane is quite versed in our zoning codes here in Orangetown, as he has been a developer for many, many years. I have a question about the way that was posted. If it was posted that way, was it done in a legal way? As many people have said, we have very few R-acre zones here in Orangetown. Realistically, are they realistic anymore in this day and age? I don't have an answer for that. It is a pipe dream, perhaps in many ways, to have an R80 zone, which is 2-acre zoning. A comprehensive plan that we just recently passed, I believe, left this particular site in place and did not make any recommendations that it be a better use to the town or to the public if it were downzoned in some way. I also wonder whether or not there have any been comments by the Rockland County Planning Board about this particular project, and if so, will those comments be read into the public tonight? Also, on this property, there's 3 lots, I believe. Will the applicant apply for lot zones to be changed because to enable him to build in a different way? I think there's 3 different lots that are being affected here tonight. Mr. Gavioli made very valid comments, and I think they should be seriously considered. I strongly feel that Mr. Amon Lane is throwing out an R80 to R15. I live in an R15 zone for 55 years. It's been I've been happy with it. I have trees all over the place, and I have the Palisade Parkway behind me, and I have the deer and the chipmunks who come to my house every day for peanuts and things like that. And it is a great, great feeling to see the wildlife that I do have on my property and behind my property. But I wonder in the long run if not Mr. Amon Lane is really looking for R40. And I believe R40 would be, I think, 7 to 8 houses. And I do feel that maybe a zone like that would be more the community would be more receptive to something like that. R80 is a 2-acre zoning. I don't know what, you have a beautiful, beautiful, massive home on one house or 2 houses? You could 3 houses, I believe was said. I think in this day and age, with land use and all the developers that are out there that really want MFRs, in some ways, we should be happy that Mr. Lane is not asking for MFR, which in most cases a lot of developers do want. It's a pristine piece of property. I'm not too well aware of it because I live in Palisades, but we had the H&A issue, which was a big, big issue, and hopefully that will come to fruition. But I think in all due respect to the applicant and to the community, we should sit down, meet with the community and say, would you be receptive to R40? Then you know what? I hate to be the real bad person here, but on R80 zoning, Mr. Lane can build a lot of things, I believe. If you look at what the zone allows under R80, Mr. Brennan, now, don't say thank you after this, but after R80, you can build a lot on that lot, which would be totally opposite of what the community wants. You know, I've been on this board, I've been on the zoning for about, I'm here 50 some odd years. I would say out of them were 40 years. You have to be there. It's like a fire alarm. I know. By the way, the seats are very comfortable to sit on.
Okay.
Something positive.
Is there anyone else who has wanted to speak that didn't have a chance? On this matter, yeah. Okay, Mr. Byrne, if you want to get up and try to respond.
Okay. We're not the great villains, just please listen. Number one, it's not affordable housing, it's comparable housing. It's comparable housing for what Blauvelt has and what Blauvelt can have. That's number one. Number two, when a new development gets built, based on the rules and regulations that we have today, we have the DEC, we have the Rockland County Planning Board, we have the Rockland County Drainage Agency, we have the Corps of Engineers. These jobs come out, they help drainage conditions in areas which have them. They actually take areas and make them better. That's number two. Number three, we got a grandstand play here about this big acreage of land, which is now opening up Pandora's box. That is absolutely 100% not true. That land is owned by the water company. That land is restricted. That land cannot be sold. Remember what happened here is that the Public Service Commission turned around and said very basically, water company, you own real estate that you don't need for the protection anymore because the rules have changed. Now, the lands were sold. Let's take a look what happened to the land. They built a subdivision right down the street called, was it across the pond? Beautiful subdivision that was built on water company property. If you take a look at it, didn't cause any damage, didn't hurt the environment. In fact, it has some nice homes. You take where I live, in Nottingham Estates. Again, water company property sold, built properly, didn't hurt the environment in any way, worked out very well. Take a look at the Indian church that was built back there. You have a church built back there. It was built many, many years ago. No problem, worked out very well, okay? The problem around here, Mr. Lane has spent over $750,000 in taxes holding on to this property. He's entitled to develop it, which not only is going to harm the neighborhood, he is going to improve the drainage conditions there based on our rules and regulations, which we have. You know, you take a subdivision today through the town of Orangetown, it takes you anywhere from 2 years where you have to take care of every one of these items that you're talking about. Traffic, drainage, sewers, et cetera, et cetera. The big sewer that goes through that piece of property right now, it does not belong to the town of Orangetown. It's a Rockland County sewer. We will have nothing to do with it. It is strictly, this will be our own sewer system, which is in that area and will not use that pipe. And we've gone through it. Nobody is looking to hurt the environment in any way. This 6.9 acres is going to bring the kind of comparable housing that this area needs. This area is in dire need. Like the people said here, they want to move to Blovell, or where are they supposed to go? These are going to be well houses fitted into the community, serve the community, and bring the people that we want in Blovell for the community. Do you have anything else you want to get today, Jay?
Don, while you're up there, can I just ask you, the R80 that's being retained by the water company?
That's correct.
Do you know what the size of that property is? Somebody said 49 acres. I'm trying to see if that's.
Pardon me?
Somebody said it was 49 acres.
I thought that big 69 acres, that's property that they own, water company. I don't know of
Somebody said-
anybody,
I think they
private
said
person owns 69 acres in that area, outside of the water company,
50, okay. It's roughly 50 acres. We just
and that
wanted-
cannot be developed. That is restricted and it cannot be sold.
I just wanted to confirm the size. Okay, thank you. Yeah. I think it's 50 point, I think, yeah. I couldn't-
Donald, just because of points that were brought up, I have two quick questions before you bring up the engineer. Federal wetlands, they keep saying there's, I keep hearing that there's federal wetlands.
That's correct, it is. We took that into consideration. We
Can
will
you
have to-
build on federal wetlands? I thought you had to be so many feet away and it had to be
Well,
so.
let Jay answer that, because
Could you just push it so that we can see the top of the drawing? There you go. Push that up to the top. Okay. See this area outlined in blue here? This area out here outlined in blue, there are two fingers. This is the federal wetlands area that's been delineated by a wetland biologist and flagged in the field, and we located all of this by surveying these points and setting it on this map. And most of this is staying. The only impact with this layout is this shaded area, which is about 4,000 square feet, basically the footprint of two 30 by 50 houses, or 40 by 50 rather. This area, whole back area, would be maintained as federal wetlands. It would not be impacted. The impact to the wetlands is very small and would be under the nationwide permit number 26, which allows 1/10 of an acre only and no more to be impacted. If you can see also the backs of these houses, all these trees in this area, in these areas around the back, are staying all around the perimeter of the property. All these trees have been located. With respect to the question of the sewer right-of-way, if you could push the map up. That sewer right-of-way, thank you. This is the sewer right-of-way shown on the map here. This is the sewer easement. There are three large siphons that belong to the Rockland County Sewer District. They in fact run through the Indian Church on Sunset and come through this property in the backs of several people, Milton Road and so on. And this right-of-way will be maintained and respected and will be within the public road right-of-way, which would provide even better access if it needs to be maintained by the sewer district in the future. There would be no construction access through Ellsworth Drive to alleviate some concerns of the people that live on Ellsworth Drive. All the construction access would be from Western Highway County Road. There would be no access, and I don't know the concern that someone expressed about some construction equipment that left tracks in someone's backyard. That was nothing to do with this project, I can assure you. I have no idea what that was, but we have no investigative issues here. No one has been working on this property or has any access through private properties. The other thing is that, as I mentioned before, all of this property, the drainage flows from the east, the higher area, to the west. As Mr. Brenner said, this development would provide an opportunity to address and solve drainage issues which are most prevalent at the northeast corner of this property, right where it intersects with Lieber Road. There's a culvert that has been taking road drainage for all of the time, in fact, before Mr. Lane bought the property, and taking that road runoff and dumping it through here, through the property. That will be addressed in an environmentally, in an aesthetic way. It will be addressed by the drainage mitigation that will be provided. And as I mentioned, there would be no contributing impact going uphill from this site. This area is where, my understanding is where the flooding issues are prevalent, and that would be addressed with the planning board submission and a full environmental review.
I have one more question. I have one more question, which Eileen had mentioned about what else could be built on a R80 besides 3 homes? Like, what's permitted on R80?
I don't have the zoning book with me, right?
I have it if you like it.
Have it. I mean, there is
Commercial
zoning-
agriculture, churches, school buildings, et cetera, libraries, public parks, schools of general instruction, schools of religious instruction,
You could build schools there.
fire, police, there's a few uses by special permit, agency boarding home, agency group home, radio and television towers, airports and heliports, high transmission tension lines. And again, these are special permit by ZBA or town board. But special permit means they're generally permitted, but they have to come here to get a special permit, or the zoning board. Zoning board would be agency community residents.
So it's not just 3 houses or
No, you could build an assisted living facility if it's large enough. There are a lot of things that you can do in R80. It's just a matter what the buffers are, et cetera, et cetera. But the point involved here right now, every new subdivision that's gone through this town for the last 10 years has gone through such rigid DEC, EPA, Rockland County drainage approvals stretch. Nobody has caused the drainage problem, okay? Now, some people talk about fences which are plastic. Well, your architectural review board can control that. They can make you put plantings. All the projects that went in the Blowville subdivisions was done by the architectural review board, and made people put plantings up instead of plastic fences, all right? The traffic, there is minimal traffic. I worry more about some of these bicycle people running down these streets than any other kind of traffic that we're talking about, because this traffic will be minimal. You're not talking heavy traffic, you're talking about several homes. If you put a bigger facility there, you get a lot more traffic, which they're allowed to do under our zoning code. This is an improvement to the area. This brings a good tax rateable to the area, and this brings the homes that the people in Blowville want in the area.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions up
If you
here?
have any other questions, I'll be glad to answer.
If you spoke already once, I'm sorry, you can't speak again. There is a gentleman, right, this,
public hearing-
John, this gentleman behind you. You haven't spoke, right, right? You have not talked yet? You haven't talked yet, have you?
Closing the meeting tonight, so you'll have another chance, but just not tonight. And you can always say-
I can't talk?
No, you haven't talked yet, right?
Huh?
You haven't gotten up there yet. You haven't talked yet, right?
No.
Okay, then you're good.
Okay. Yes, my name is Ronald Harmon, and I've been up here for 53 years. I never thought the property be at the end of my block being used for housing. But the only thing I want to ask the surveyor, how are you grading that property?
Okay, sir.
Are you grading at the level of Ellsworth Drive? Or
Okay,
what?
sir, you're going to have to address the questions, and at the end, we'll ask them. We just don't want back and
Well,
forth.
I got to find
Is
out
that
that
your
answer.
question?
I can't
Okay.
talk then, you know what I mean?
Right.
I was just trying to figure how he's going to grade it. Is he going to grade it to Ellsworth Street level, or is he going to grade it to Western Highway and Old Western Highway where they meet? Is he going to grade that above that street because it goes down on a slope? Now, you got 2 hills there. One is on Western Highway, and there's another street name. The water comes down there, and it all goes to the poor people that are on the other side. They're going to get flooded. Now, if they grade that above that street level, say 6 inches, 12 inches, whatever it's going to be, that means the people that are going to be in these new homes that they're building are going to get flooded out, unless they build a retaining wall. That's the only way you're going to stop this water, because now it's got no place to go. There's no land to be evaporating the water. So that's what I was trying to find out,
Okay.
how they're going to grade that. Because if he grades it above Western Highway, those people have got to be flooded. It's going to get worse. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to take a shot at that? Do you want to address that issue?
The plan that's before you this evening is a conceptual plan to allow an evaluation of where the homes could be, how a road could be constructed. The grading that the gentleman is referring to, obviously the homes that would be built on Ellsworth Drive would relate in grade to the end of Ellsworth Drive. The grade on this property, as I mentioned several times, flows from east to west. The road would be constructed would come in at the elevation of Western Highway and then would flow or drop towards the west. These parcels would be below the road because that's the natural lay of this land. And they would be graded in such a way so that surface water flow would go around the houses and would be roof runoff and driveway runoff would be conveyed into underground piping systems or underground dry wells in order to store the 100-year storm, and calculations would have to be provided to the satisfaction of the environmental department, the DEME at the town of Orangetown, so that the previous impervious area, of which there is none basically, but each lot and the roadways would be evaluated and the calculations would be provided for a comparison of pre-developed runoff to post-developed runoff, and all of that would have to be stored in an appropriate manner either on the site or in a detention basin or an underground storage.
Thank you. Okay, this is going to be the last member of the public we're taking tonight because we're not going to be making a decision tonight, and we do have other business to take care of, so thank you. Could you just state your name?
My name is Brian Harmon. I'm on Ellsworth Drive. My part really wasn't, I really wanted to know about, sorry,
Yeah,
the
too close to the mic.
process of after today. Like, what are we supposed to do? Or, I know, I'm not sure, when the voting goes, the planning board, everything, the whole process. Can you just explain that to us? And the
Yeah.
other thing, is it helpful if I can get like before the vote, like the petition to 100, 200, the closest units to this development, would that have any influence on the vote?
Okay, so I don't know, maybe you weren't, when you came in tonight, I started the meeting by saying we were not voting tonight.
Right,
We
I
knew
know
we were
that,
not
I know
voting tonight, okay. This board, when we're done with the hearing, what we have to hear, we have two options. We can basically continue the hearing to another date if there's other information we want to get, or we can, I guess, close the hearing. Do I got them all? Is there anything, those are basically our two options.
Or do nothing, that's the third option, is not entertain it. I mean, with the application, you don't necessarily have to take a vote. This is a local law, so it's
Right,
legislation.
but don't we have to
so-
close the public hearing then?
Oh, yeah, yeah. It would,
Or we want to leave it open, is the
Right.
question, right. So, I mean, the board's going to discuss it when we're done here, what we want to do, but, by all means, the public hearing's open, you can submit whatever you'd like to be considered by
So
the board.
like I said, I can still get like a petition, have
Yeah,
people sign it, close it,
absolutely.
and present, and it would have any influence on the vote, whenever that is.
Look, I can only speak for myself.
Right, okay. I
And we are missing a board member who lives in Blowout, which is one of the other reasons the timing was not great, because he certainly would want to be here. So, I certainly, any petition that comes in, I always weigh it in with the other factors.
And is there any time limit, I'm sorry, when the vote would
I
be?
think when we're done, we'll say, you'll know.
Okay.
Well, either we're continuing to another date, or
Because I think everybody wants to make sure we're informed of like the next step.
Absolutely.
That's all.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
And we do take emails, and we do read all the emails. Not that I respond to a lot of them, but I do read them, because if I responded to them, I wouldn't be able to do my own business. I'd be responding to emails all day. But I do read every one of them before we come here, and yes, of course, we listen to the public. You guys are the ones who voted us in. At least I do.
except for that one in the back, I don't listen to him. Okay, does anybody else have any questions for the applicant, or? No?
No?
no.
You want to
Just
close it?
continue,
No,
continue.
I make a motion to continue the public hearing.
Close it tonight.
Just
No.
continue it to the next.
Continue it, we're not closing, because I'm just going to, for my purposes, because I have to talk. I hear everybody's concerns about, you know, the green land and the animals and everything, and I totally understand that, but we have to be realistic that it's not nothing. This man has property rights, the owner, so something's going to be built there. So, again, Eileen Larkin wisely said maybe R40. I don't know what the answer is. This is too dense for me. I will just say that it's too much for me. But when you have people living in R15s and R40 saying, no, we want R80, what they're saying to me is they don't want anything there. I don't want to see homes on 2-acre lots. They're huge. You're talking like the McMansions. I don't think you want that either. So I don't know what the right answer is. The idea is to continue it and maybe explore with the applicant. And again, I'm speaking for myself, and we're missing a board member here, but personally, I think it's too much for the location. So that's what I'll say. If anybody else want to join in, or you just want to make a motion?
No, again, we listened to what everybody said, and what Eileen actually brought up was a good point, was R80 doesn't mean 3 houses or nothing. R80 means a lot. So I think it would behoove everyone in this neighborhood to read the zoning code and see what he's allowed to build without us even having a vote. And then we'll come up with the best decision. This may not be the right decision. And maybe it's 7 houses, maybe it's R40. But the guy does own the property, and he does have rights to build something. He doesn't have a right to build this unless we approve it, but he has a right to build something, and it's not necessarily just 3 houses and a bunch of open land, because he can vary off that, and if you read the zoning code, it tells you very specifically what he'd be allowed to put in your backyard. So now you gotta pick, you know, what he could do as of right. Now we gotta determine, and that's our job, right, is to try to see what's the best for the entire community as well as your individual neighborhoods and streets. I live in Blauvelt. I've lived in Blauvelt. My business is in Blauvelt. My kids are in Blauvelt. My grandkids are in Blauvelt. I don't want overdevelopment in Blauvelt, but I also don't want other things built on this property that I don't want in Blauvelt. So we got to find a medium to allow this guy to do something with the property that he's been paying taxes on while not really changing the character of our town. So that's why I want to leave it open, because I'd like to hear more of what you guys got to say. We're not going to take questions and answers, but I do take emails, and there will be another public portion where everybody can come and speak. So if you didn't get your point out or you think of a new point, you know, it's not lost. You can email the entire board, or you can come to the next meeting. And you can speak to me after.
Okay, so if we're going to continue it, what, I know, when?
I'm out the 8th, so you know.
8th of what?
October.
I was going to go to November anyway.
Okay, go to November, I like that.
Allison, what dates we got for November?
The 12th, I'm at Mets Fantasy Camp. Gotta have priorities.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. We don't do that. Oh, thank you. December, I mean, is that going out too far?
Either November,
Yeah, but the problem is, the one's like right before Thanksgiving, and you're away for one. So we go to December 17th? Okay, so December 17th? Well, it is what it is, I think, you know. Okay, is everyone good with that? Okay, so on that, so did everyone hear that? We're going to continue it to December 17th.
So this will be back on the agenda, December 17th. So you have plenty of time to get your thoughts together and email us petitions, whatever you want to do, or come back on December 17th.
Okay.
And I'll just point out that the town did receive comments from Rockland County Department of Planning in a letter dated September 10th. Going to ask that we put it on the town website. It's also available on the county Department of Planning website, but it'll be available for everybody to review. It's dated September 10th.
Okay. Okay.
September 10th, did I say December? September 10th, it's dated September 10th. Sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry, we just said 12/17. Okay, so can I get a motion to continue this public hearing to December 17th, 2024?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Thank you, everybody. Okay, we're going to go back to that, yes. Okay, can I get a motion to open the regular public comment portion?
Motion open.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Foley, we're ready for you.
Thank you for your patience.
Maybe I could just wait a minute until it quiets down?
You waited this long. You might as well.
Might as well wait.
Might as well
Past
wait.
my bedtime already. All right, I'm ready to speak if you're
Okay.
ready for me.
We are, we're
All right.
ready.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Joan Foley, and, you know, there definitely is a connection between what I just heard for the last 2 hours and what I'd like to talk about tonight. Because I'm not really thinking about development, I'm thinking about redeveloping areas that already have homes on them. I live on Ridge Street, probably one of the oldest streets in Pearl River. I'm a New York City resident. I was born and raised in New York City, and I love the fact that I live walking distance to town. At the same time, I love that I live up in Rockland County, where there's lots of trees and birds and animals and all of those things. I've been living on Ridge Street for 23 years, and Pearl River is a wonderful place to live. I walk almost every day into town. I walk to get my hair done. I walk to get a cup of coffee. I walk to get my nails done. I walk to the library. I'm always walking in town. And when I bought my home on Ridge Street 23 years ago, it was not a very nice block. It really wasn't. But I knew that over the years that I would upgrade my own home and that people in the neighborhood would as well. And they have. And then we have plenty of homeowners who have upgraded their homes. And of course, we know with this economy that it's not easy to spend money on your homes, and people do it in their own time when they have the funds. Even so, I have many concerns about some of the unsightly, damaging, and unsafe things I see on the other end of Ridge Street, which is closer to town. I happen to live towards the Gilbert side. And here are a few of my concerns. This first one actually applies probably to many streets besides Ridge Street. But the town puts down gravel roads, and when I tell you I have had hundreds of pieces of gravel in my home when you put those roads down. And it's cheap. I'm sure there's a reason for doing it. I know it's not done on every road. It looks sloppy, it breaks up easily, and it's scratched up all my hardwood floors. And I have to redo the entry. I've had to do it a couple of times already. So I'm just saying for going forward, and again, this is probably not just Ridge Street, we need to find a better way to pave our side roads, our little small streets, because what you're doing with the gravel is not working. We need a better solution. The second thing pertains to Ridge Street and the surrounding area. There are a ton of commuter cars parked on Ridge Street every day. Instead of parking in the commuter lots, they are parking on Ridge Street, and they are parking on Jefferson. They are parking wherever there isn't a meter. Many of the cars have New Jersey plates on them, so they are not Pearl River residents. And I've taken several pictures, which I can actually email, but if you drive up and down the street yourselves anytime during the day, Monday to Friday, that's what they see. I don't think I spoke for 5 minutes, but I think that...
It's only 3 for the regular portion, but we're going to give
All right,
you a
thank you.
courtesy because you sat here for 2 hours.
You know, and I'm just kind of wondering, like, what's the law, if there is a law about this, can the police give tickets to these cars? And if not, can we put a law on the books that prevents commuters from parking all over our streets? And what I'm going to say to you is, this is like my next point, it's very dangerous. I'm a walker. It's also dangerous for drivers. You come to those intersections, and the main intersections that I'm concerned about is Ridge and Franklin, Ridge and Jefferson, and Main Street and Jefferson. In fact, there is car wreckage still sitting on the corner of Main and Jefferson that's been there for weeks. No one's even picked it up. It's dangerous. People are parked beyond the stop sign. They squeeze themselves in. We should probably have barriers where people can't park on the corners like you see in many places that are crowded. But I suppose if they're not parked there, we wouldn't have that as an issue. You know, and I just wonder, like, what are the laws in place? If not, how can we add laws to keep the residents safe, walkers and drivers? There is an abandoned house on Ridge Street. It has been abandoned since I have lived there 23 years ago. The electricity is turned off, the water is turned off, nobody lives there, nobody comes by, or if they come by, they come by rarely. I believe the family lives in Orangetown. I don't know why you're allowed to have an abandoned house. I'm all about property rights and privacy, but there's got to be some kind of standard of living. Why is this house allowed to be there? Talk about development. This is why there's a connection. We don't need new development. We need someone to redevelop and buy the properties that are crappy in Pearl River and everywhere else over Orangetown. There are cars without license plates on properties. I think that's against the law. Again, I haven't done my research yet. This is my first stop. I've been venting in my brain for years. There's an empty lot on Ridge Street. Who owns that empty lot? There is tire, beer cans, cigarettes, garbage all over that lot. It's been there for years. No one has ever come and picked it up. I would imagine that is against some kind of law in Orange County. There's a house on Ridge Street with a packed porch. There's a couch, a refrigerator, and a load of other garbage, which has been on the front porch for years. I think there's got to be some kind of law about this, and if there is, we should make one. At the same property, and I don't know what's in the homemade hut because I haven't gone on the person's property, rightfully so, but there's a homemade hut on the property, and I don't know what's in there. I have to think that maybe someone's growing pot in there or something, which perhaps is not against the law, but there's a homemade hut on the front lawn. There are boats on the commercial properties on Ridge Street that have never been moved for years. Are business owners allowed to store things in there like this? There's a ton of other makeshift parking spots all over Ridge Street. Are these legal? All residents, whether they are homeowners or renters, are entitled to live on safe, clean streets, but there has to be some kind of standard for our homes. Many homeowners on Ridge Street either own their homes and they live there, or they own them and rent them, and they keep them beautiful. They keep them up to a standard, and it doesn't have to be fancy, just clean, neat, and safe. But there's other, what I will call slumlords, that have, I guess, grandfathered in homes that they do nothing with. They own these homes, and they rent them, and they charge crazy amounts of rent, and they keep the properties in terrible shape. They have absolutely no interest in giving back. All they do, and talk about the money, this is all about the money for these landowners. And I believe I know one or two of them that actually live in Pearl River. So I don't know what kind of, and I don't know if we have a right or there's any kind of laws to prevent this.
You covered a lot of territory
I have. And I just want you to, like, this extends to the town. We've got 3 vape shops with no customers. Nobody goes in them. What are they selling in there? We've got cigarette butts all over the front of the bars. Why don't the bar owners clean up that? We have a bar with 2 broken windows that have been there for a year. I love Pearl River. It's turning into a great time. A great town to live in, a great town to walk in. We want to invite investors. We want to invite people to come and do everything in Pearl River. However, we need to follow some laws. The police need to follow up. The town needs to follow up. And if not, we need to make some new ones. Thank you.
Thank you. So let me just, because you covered a lot of ground there. So I would say when you see these properties, you can file a complaint either online through our portal, or you can email me, or you can email the building department. We do have property maintenance laws. Now, it doesn't mean every property we're going to be able to go after, but we will go out and certainly broker windows and things like that, and businesses is most definitely a violation of our property maintenance. So that's that. I will let Mr. Dean address if you want to speak. He does the up here in the front, he does the chip seal. I believe all the streets get done, don't they, Jim, at some point, the chip seal? I'm sorry, the chip seals. She was questioning about like the chip, don't all of the streets get done? I know mine gets done. All the roads in Orangetown get done at some point?
We do all our secondary roads with chip seal.
Right.
It's on a 10-year cycle, and we've been doing it for 50 years. Basically, we do that for $4 a square yard. The pavement, like we just did on Franklin Avenue, is $23.75 a square yard. So we do 10% of our secondary roads and 10% of our main roads each year on a 10-year cycle. It's economical. It does have gravel. We clean it up, do our best I can, and we won't be there for
another
9
10.
years from now.
Right,
So
right.
it's
No,
always
I
been
mean,
a policy.
I know it's done basically. I know, I got it. I know it's been done on my street, so that's fine.
If we used the type of approach we used on West Central Avenue or Franklin Avenue, it would be 30 years before we got back to that street.
Well, I'm glad to know it's on 10 years. I must get a new car every 10 years, because every time I get a new car, you chip and seal my street, so that it can't be just a coincidence.
Sounds like we're on the same side.
And then the last thing I would mention is, I know you were talking about people parking and things. Again, we do have a traffic advisory board, so if you email me, they will look at, is it appropriate to put no parking? You know, we do have laws too about overnight parking and things like that, but you covered a lot of ground. But there is laws to cover almost everything you said. We just have to know about it, and, you know, it's a big town, so we do rely upon people to bring these things to our attention. So, thanks, Jim. Is there anybody else here who would like to speak in the regular public comment? Eileen?
You mentioned during your budget hearing about the H&A, I believe he's gone, about the money that we are held responsible for because of the H&A settlement. But I thought that that settlement with the new owner was going to, and also take care of the outstanding taxes.
That's what that's for. The tax, that was part of the tax. They had a couple of years tax grievances, so
Right,
that's.
so are we being penalized for it, or we got reimbursed for it? Maybe I misunderstood.
So they paid, the county paid us, so we were paid.
Right.
And now we settled the tax certiorari over a period of 4 years or something.
Right.
And that's what we have to pay back.
But they also paid at the closing. The owners of
Oh, yeah, they
H&A had
paid
to pay
everything
back
up.
taxes.
It was like $8 million they paid.
SNL paid?
The new
SNL,
buyer, yeah.
Yeah, SNL Green, right.
SNL Green, yeah.
All right, Ann Murphy, I wanted to see you, going to remember her. I remember Ann as a lovely woman, and she lived here in Blauvelt, I believe. Yes. And she lost a son in a helicopter, one of those helicopters. He was a military
Yes, he was a Marine Corps test pilot.
Right.
And he died in an Osprey helicopter
Osprey,
accident.
Right. She was lovely. She was always happy, and she didn't have an easy life because she had a serious car accident, I believe, didn't she?
She did.
It left her very impaired. The early voting, are we going to have voting here at the town hall
Yes.
in October? Well, I guess so. What was the
It'll
date?
be,
October 26th to November 3rd.
Okay, and the no-knock, that's, my neighborhood has had about 4 occasions when people are knocking on our doors, mine included, to see if we want to sell for cash. So it's becoming an issue, and hopefully people will hear your,
yeah.
and I would like to get one of those no-knocks.
Okay, town
All right.
clerk, go to the town clerk's office, and she'll issue, they'll put you on a list, and they were in my neighborhood today, so I got about 4 calls.
I'm sorry?
They were in my neighborhood today, knocking on the door, looking
Yeah,
for people to sell, so
it's,
that's why I got a couple calls, which is why I reminded everybody. Because a lot of people still don't know about it.
Right, okay.
Okay. Okay. I don't think we have anybody else here who wants to speak. Can I get a motion to close the public comment?
I make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we got through 1, 2. Okay, number 5, motion to, I guess, basically accept and distribute the preliminary, my tentative budget. I don't know what the heck this is, okay.
I make a motion that I received your tentative.
I know, I did this.
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. No, that's what we did early on. We continued it to
We
December
didn't
17th.
close it, we left.
Yes, yes. Yeah, that's what 4 is. That's the second part. So 3rd, we opened the public hearing, and then 4 was whether we were going to close it or continue it. They're related. They're both related to the same.
No, we
continued it
We
to
didn't
Dec-
close it, we're continuing it till December. Yes,
Well, planning board.
not planning board, it's for us.
So we didn't vote on it. We didn't do anything tonight. We're just continuing the matter to December 17th. Yeah. So if we were to approve it, it would then go to the planning board, but we didn't approve it.
All right, so number 1 is to open the public hearing. I'm sorry, number 3 is to open the public hearing. Number 4 is to close or continue. So we chose to continue. Same
Yes.
property. So we have to open it, and then we have to close it or continue.
There's also a property that butts those two properties that was up for zoning change previously, I think a week or so ago.
That's probably a planning, that wouldn't be a zone change. Maybe it's a planning board thing. That's not us. I don't-
Oh, you mean on Old Western Highway? Yes. All right, so that isn't before us. That's not for a zoning change. That's for a ZBA. That's in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Not before us at all. No, we have no say in it. I don't know for sure, but
Do you know? If, that lovely lady in the back may be able to answer your questions. Okay. Did we finish number 5? Or did he stop us? Okay, we did, okay. Number 6, set the public hearing date of October 8th at 7 PM for Blauvelt Fire Protection District.
I'll make a motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Number 7, motion to set a public hearing date of October 8th at 7:10 for the Blauvelt, Orangetown, Tapan, and Palisades Libraries.
I make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 8, set a public hearing of October 8th, 2024 on the preliminary budget.
I'll make a motion.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 9, approve an agreement with Atzel, Nasher, and Ziegler to conduct the Phase 1 environmental for the property in South Nyack, the Olson Center.
Motion. I'll second. Did you make a motion?
I think Brian, I think he did both.
I thought I heard
I heard two voices. That was.
So I'll make that motion.
Okay, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
I don't even know what the heck happened, but okay. Number 10, approve the grant and fund overage. This is a SAM grant. Again, this is from Assemblyman John McGowan for straight shade structures. Motion?
I make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 11, appoint Matthew Miller to the member of the Orangetown Planning Board effective September 25th, 2024.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then number 12, appoint Matthew Carroll Okay. Oh, it's right there. I should have seen it. Okay. We're not coming out to vote on anything. We do have an adjournment, 2 adjournments in memory of. We have Jennifer Howard, resident of Blauvelt, and Ann Murphy, resident of Blauvelt, So can I get a motion to enter executive session? And second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let me just, Jeff, I do have a quick question for you, though, on this.